Hello and welcome B-Siders to another guest episode of my Living on the B-Side podcast. It's all happening this year and yes, I'm so excited to talk to another human being about music and the impact it had in their lives, and hopefully share also a little bit of examples of what that is or was. And today I'm joined by Michelle. Hello Michelle, how are you going?
Hi, Berkut. Good, thank you. Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm so glad you came on. Michelle, I'm going to just go over who you are and what you do, and then please feel free to add anything that you might feel like I've missed out on. So we'll get that out of the way, and then we can just literally hop in, jam out about all things music and whatever else comes to mind.
Sounds great.
Okay, cool. So you are the owner of a branding, design and printing company up in Newcastle, New South Wales of Australia.
That's right.
And you specialize in, and I have to read this out, integrated approach to creating and designing branded material, which sounds exciting, and collateral to bring products and services into the marketplace. That sounds a little bit dry to me, so you might have to just pop into that and make it a bit more fun and creative, because I know that's what it really is.
Yeah, I should have said something like I'm an ideas alchemist. So I take those ideas and then I listen, and I suppose being introverted, I listen deeply to what they want. So a lot of times people will just say to me, like, for example, recently I had a girl contact me and say, I want to do a sticker for my partner's ute. I went, okay. And then she starts to explain what she wants it to look like. Okay, I've got this sticker and it's like this shape. And then I've got this photo and I've got that. And I've seen this font and I like these colours. And he really likes this show. And then like 7 or 8 different examples later, she's like, so do you understand what I want it to look like? And I'm like, yes.
And you did? Oh, wow.
I don't know how you do that. And I went, well, that's because that's what I do. That's what I do for a living. So I interpret people's ideas and turn them into something branded for either their business, mostly for small businesses, occasionally random like gift ideas and cards and things for people for crazy birthdays and something a little bit left of centre. So I classify myself as an Imagineer. So it's an imagination that's structured around a process that actually ends up with the outcome that you're looking for. So that's how I like to explain it.
Yeah, sounds much more creative and fun, I think.
Yeah. It is a lot of fun. I just love it. I just love making things and creating things. So it's perfect for me.
Yeah, which brings me into the other bit. You play piano, don't you? Which is another creative and outlet in a way, creating something else.
Yeah. And piano is only something that I came to about, I would say maybe about 10 years ago. So it's been kind of to wind back a fair bit. Like back when I was 5 or 6, I wanted to play piano. Anyway, my grandmother had a friend that lived up the road that was a piano teacher. I went and supposedly had piano lessons with her. But I can't read music. But I've got a really strong ear. So anyway, but I went to have these piano lessons, and after my 3rd lesson of being whacked on the back of the hands with a ruler for playing the wrong note and not reading the music, that was the end of my piano career. And I tried on and off for a number of years, and I just thought, oh, I'm just not. I always thought you had to be naturally gifted to be able to play.
But that's not the case, obviously, because you proved that anyone can learn an instrument, I suppose, if they want to.
Finding the right teacher for your way of learning, and I think that's what happened for me. So that was kind of a pretty big aha moment in my mid-40s. I kind of went, oh, okay. And it was quite emotional for me because it was something that I'd always wanted to do because I felt really connected to music. And yet it always seemed just that little bit out of reach for me. So I never felt as though I could achieve what I could hear in my head. I couldn't get it out in an instrument or, I could sing it, but it wasn't quite the same. It wasn't really what I was looking for. So anyway, but
that's interesting. And just out of curiosity, why do you think you felt like you couldn't play the piano? Was it because of external people telling you that, or do you think the way it's been taught made you feel like that?
It's the way it was taught or tried to be taught to me when I was a child. And I'm I'm sure somewhere in my introversion, I'm on the spectrum somewhere, because I have challenges learning certain things. So if it's very technical, it's just way over my head. But if I can put my hands on it and play something or touch it as you talk to me, then it seems to go in better, it seems to connect with me better. So I think it wasn't that I couldn't do it, but I was expected to be able to read music, to be able to play it. There was no encouragement of, playing by ear or mucking around or,
Interesting.
Using your own natural ability, I suppose, is what I'm trying to get to. Yeah. So it wasn't encouraged. My family wasn't musical. The most musical thing that happened in my family was my dad sang when he was building. So up on top of a house, like hammering away, and that, my childhood memory of dad is singing on top of a roof while he's, constructing a house. And yet, when I think of music, even just coming and doing this piece, it's brought up so many songs for me. But each kind of, music kind of started out with dad's music. Mum is not musical. Not even interested. So, dad was big into Little River Band, Fleetwood Mac, so when I hear, as soon as I hear Fleetwood Mac songs, it takes me back. And that's really, really my first introduction to any sort of...
That's not a bad introduction at all, because at the end of the day, it's a great band. Great music.
I love it. I still love it now. Like, I can just listen to their music.
Oh,
now.
It's
still fresh. Do you know what I mean? Like, it hasn't lost... It's ageless.
Absolutely. And
music, but
yeah, it gets covered as well. I mean, you hear it like on ads on the telly, or you have other bands covering certain songs, so you just know it's like timeless. It's just beautiful, beautifully crafted music. So that's a great introduction to music, actually.
Yeah. And so I think my dad was pretty introverted himself, and his way, and he was a very emotional man. So I think the way we connected is through singing songs together while he was on a work site, and I'd be going around, picking up bits of timber, and he'd be singing and I'd be singing, and that's just, that was kind of our little thing. So it's kind of nice memory of him.
That's beautiful. That's really nice. And it's just shows that like you said, if you said your dad wasn't a very sort of obvious, from what I understand, expressing his emotions.
No.
So to be able to connect on that level through music is just so nice. It's and that you both kind of felt that as well, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I said mum wasn't musical, but I can remember as a child, like playing songs we had, the air guitar, bits of timber as air guitars, and we used to work out all the dance moves to kind of get up and like shake our thing, and when I think of the songs, I was thinking about this morning, even before this, and I'm thinking, what were those damn songs that we used to like earworms, kind of go around and around. And there was one, I don't even know what the band's called. The song went, "Fox on the run, and everybody comes running." That one. So I don't even know the name, but I must have sang that squillions of times to all the moves that we had going for it, and it was just one of those things that me and my younger sister and my next door neighbour used to do the little concerts in the garage, and the sheet up behind, and had all our Rocky gear on, and it's just hilarious now when I think about it. But that was, for me, a way of expressing myself. Being introverted, I was a pretty quiet, shy child, yet get me to do something like that, and I was just in my element. You couldn't get me to do it now, but
well, you got a she shed now. You could actually do it in there.
Oh, my she shed's not big enough. I need a she barn, I think.
A she barn. That's amazing, though, because it's so funny, like you're doing that in your garage as an introvert who generally, not everybody obviously, but a lot of introverts hate that kind of attention. That just... So again, it just shows the power of music, how it can pull you out of that zone or whatever you're in to go and do all this, That's amazing.
As well, a way of connecting words and sound with emotion. So as an introvert, I wouldn't outwardly express that sort of thing. So for me, music allowed me to do that. And I suppose, and I always felt as though there was something wrong with me because nobody was as emotional as I got about music, lots of different things. So I really felt quite different than, you know, my sisters and the people around me. And yeah, it was just my little thing. I could go and do it whenever I wanted to. I didn't need somebody else.
So was it like a bit of an invisible friend almost?
Well, kind of, yeah. But I mean, at the time, I probably wouldn't have used those words because I didn't really understand what was different, and that didn't kind of happen until I was a bit older. But then, you know, I played a bit of sport. I wasn't overly sporty. Wasn't really big into netball and, you know, all those sorts of things. Did it, but it wasn't really my thing. You know, being creative and drawing and making things and singing and trying to work out the songs, you know, on my little electric piano that Mum and Dad bought me one Christmas. I was about 7, you know, and just trying to pluck out the sound of the song and try and get it on the keyboard, you know. So that was kind of my world back then. Yeah.
That sounds very similar to mine, minus the keyboard. Didn't have one, but it's just kind of this invisible force that's just there. And I feel the same. Like music, you can really express yourself so well through other people literally writing it and creating that song, you know. And you're like, if I would want to create something, that will be it, you know. And I find that so fascinating that, you know, and I always say music heals. It also helps you heal. Like there were points where I was very lonely when I was growing up. So having that there to help me deal with that.
Oh, absolutely.
Really great, you know.
Yeah. I don't think at times music's acknowledged for what a great healer it can be. I think, you know, we look to, you know, going to see professionals and, you know, taking tablets and all that kind of stuff. And it's not that I don't, you know, I'm advocating one's better than the other or anything, but I think at times we don't recognise or even use that as a first tool before we start to bring other, you know, ways of addressing those things in. And I think
absolutely
now, you know, I would never have thought about expressing my emotions or things that I was feeling through music when I was younger. Like it wasn't a thing. You know, now it is. And, you know, giving myself permission to make my own music and make my own sounds. And, you know, again, was not something, it's like, it was seen as being somebody that's professional did that, not just anybody could do it. So, you know, and look, and maybe that was a perception that I picked up from somewhere, thinking that, you know, I couldn't play music, I couldn't read music, so you had to be a professional or, you know, studied for a lot of years to be able to enjoy it or understand it better. And there's a part of that. Yet, you know, music's been around for as long as we've been around. So, you know, we've been making noises and banging things and, you know, stamping our feet and dancing to it. So, I mean, it's for me, it's intrinsically a part of our bodies. You know?
I just thought when you said that, we kind of lost that a little bit.
I think we've lost it a lot. I'm hoping that lockdown actually helped get us back in touch with those just simple things that are really like a heartbeat for our lives, really. It is the whole life.
Yeah, and if you think about it, our heartbeat makes a rhythm and a sound too. We're full of music.
Absolutely. You know how we walk, you know.
It's just so sad. Yeah, no, it's, you know.
You know, and I think as soon as you start to combine thinking about music in ways that actually engages the body, then you realise nobody can say that they're not musical. It's just not possible. You've got a heartbeat, and it's got a heartbeat because it's got a beat, it's got a rhythm, whether it's fast, slow, or otherwise. It's, you know, it's the thing that keeps us going. You know?
Yeah, and we all have a voice. Our voice is musical. No one speaks the same. We all have different tones and the way we say things. And it's, I think if they say they're not musical, they refer to either they can't dance, they can't sing, or they can't play an instrument, which I'm starting to sort of think that even that's wrong. Even if we sing, it might not sound right to other people, but it's still right for you. If you think you can't dance or you look funny, who cares? That's your own style of dancing.
Oh my God. And when you say that, the first thing I think of is Peter Garrett He was the most awkward kind of muso ever to walk planet. And it's like, yeah, that was his thing, like he was unapologetically Peter Garrett.
And like, it works.
It just worked, like nobody else could do Peter Garrett like Peter Garrett, and I think we, in this real social connected environment that we're in now, everything looks perfect. You look at all the Instagram pages, you've got perfect hair, perfect this, perfect skin, perfect teeth, the perfect relationship, the perfect partner, the perfect holiday, the perfect home, perfect kids, the great dog. Everything's this perfect. But life, I don't know about your life, but my life has not been, like this perfect world. And I think what it does is a real injustice to living your life on purpose and how life goes up and down. So I just think if we just step back a bit from that and people were just more authentically themselves and not so worried about their personal image, I don't know. I find it it's a fascinating area for me to kind of delve into.
I know what you're saying, and that's why I think if we have some form of something we can use to get back to us. And for me, that obviously is music, because it helps me either go inwards and express outwards what's going on in my life. And obviously people who know me, if I, let's say, put a song out there, let's say, I don't know, on Facebook or whatever, and they're good friends of mine, they go, oh, I better check in, or oh, something good happened, or oh, she's not doing so well. So you can really kind of judge where I am in life by what music I put out there or listen to. So it's such a good, you can really, I find it such a good tool to see how someone's doing.
Absolutely, I mean, life is made of all sorts of different experiences, and I just think, while social media always portrays this perfect image, in reality, life's not like that. So I can understand why so many kids these days, when things don't go exactly, or look exactly, or sound exactly, or they experience it exactly, they have such a sense of loss and of being not worth anything. And it's like, you know what? Stop comparing yourself to everybody else. Just do you. Whatever that looks like, it's fine. And it has lots. Look, don't get me wrong. I love social media for lots of different reasons. I love the fact that people share, their music challenges and different things that they're doing, the dance steps and different things.
And
Lucy.
There's a sound you don't hear often.
A sound I wish I wasn't hearing right about now, but anyway. So there's I just think, what do you want to do?
Well, she's giving us an example of what her singing voice is like.
Well, she's letting me know there's somebody out the front, and that's great. Lucy, come here. Come here.
Oh.
Come here.
Well, we probably, if you're watching this and not listening, you might want to see actually the little culprit that makes all these opera noises. So I think we might just, sorry if you're only listening and you can't see this, you might have to hop over to YouTube. And this is what my podcast is all about. It's raw, it's real, and these things happen, and that is life. And in life, there's different sounds, and there she is.
We were saying about she was going to do something like that.
Yes, and there she is. And for those of you who can't see, what type of dog is Lucy?
Lucy's a cavoodle.
A cavoodle. There you go. So look up cavoodle if you're not watching this on YouTube.
Yeah, she's very happy that she's been barking. So anyway, that's good. Sorry about that. So I just think if we weren't so caught up in this ideal of perfection, then people being themselves, that's what music's about. I mean, music's written because of emotion and the lyrics, not just what it sounds like, but the lyrics, they tell stories. Not saying all songs tell stories. Some of the most, the current
don't.
They're
just bad.
Yeah. Well, they're not bad. They're just they're just what they are.
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes I think it depends on, sometimes, if I'm in a happy mood and I want to go dancing, some of the dance songs don't necessarily tell a good story, but then the music itself tells what the emotional state of us is. So there's different.
So I just think, music has so many beautiful parts of it. You've got the lyrics, you've got words, you've got meaning. then how it's delivered, and then the sound, and then the volume.
Mm-hmm.
Like we really loud yelling and head banging kind of stuff. So
yeah,
it really is a reflection back of how individual we are as people.
Yeah,
and things that we like,
exactly.
and things that resonate with us. So I think it's such a wonderful tool. It is a bit underutilized.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So,
now, I want to know a little bit more about you. We've talked a lot about music in general and how we perceive it, and why we think it's underutilized, and why people should go back a little bit to music because it's part of who we are. Have you currently got like a favorite song that you listen to a lot, and if so, why do you listen to it a lot?
Yes, I do. And my go-to song's a Queen song, and it's Bohemian Rhapsody, of course. I mean, when I think of Queen, that's the first song I think of, and maybe not for its popularity. That wasn't really the reason why I feel connected to it and why I listen to it so much. I think for me, knowing more about Freddie Mercury and then his actual talent in songwriting is what really got me. And to think that he could produce a song that was like that, that had so many parts in it, and at times it's orchestral, like it wasn't popular at the time, and they weren't even going to launch like release it. So for me, when I listen to it, it's got the lights and the darks, this message behind the song. At times, if I just listen to or just read the words, I can feel the emotion in the words without even hearing the music. And for me, it's such a mammoth song that throws absolutely everything you could possibly find and the kitchen sink at it, and it does it in such a way that's it's become an iconic song for generations of people, like its ability to last for, I'm hoping it's going to continue on forever. I think it's a really brilliant song.
I've got goosebumps.
Yeah, that's what it does to me. And I listen to that be when I have, not every day's a great up day. I'm not always, happy and jumping out of my skin. And on days that I'm not, I pop it on, or if there's days that I've got a lot of work on, I throw it on for a different reason. Like for me, it has the ability to answer an internal call, whether it be something that's sad that I want to connect with, something that's pumped up, that's like, yes, we're going to do this. So it has so many different emotions wrapped up in it in one song that I can use it for lots of different things. And
perfect.
Yeah, and I also feel a bit, because I suppose I spent a lot of my life actually doing a lot of things on my own. But and the undertone of that song is about all he wants is to be loved. It's just, that's what we're here for. We're here to love and be loved. And, it's the big question, what are we here for, I suppose? So that's probably why I felt so connected to it. But for me, really, I have so many songs that I like to just pick one is really challenging for me. So
I know, that's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah,
but it's a good one. I mean, that song is just, and it's been sort of used.
It's been used to death, probably. It's everything.
I mean, for me, if I think about Bohemian Rhapsody, it's Wayne's World.
Yeah.
That's for me. And then obviously the cat version.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, the other week I got
that's funny.
concert with the cats, instead of the 4 guys lined up, and it's like there's so many takeoffs that you could make of it that it's really quite funny. But I don't know. I just think it's timeless. I just think it's timeless music.
It's such a masterpiece, absolutely. And I mean, Freddie Mercury. Oh my God, we could probably talk about him for another 15 minutes on his own. He's just amazing, and
But I mean, there's other songs like Yurumi's River's Flow song. Like I love that. Like it's one piece that I could just listen to again and again and again. I like so much. My taste in music is very eclectic. I go from Little River Band to Tears for Fears to a band called Taxi Ride. If you're from Melbourne, you'll know who Taxi Ride is. Kate Sobrano, Kate Bush, Wuthering Heights. Like that was just a beautiful, like goosebumps.
Yeah.
Just goosebumps,
Talking Heads, maybe?
Maybe, yeah. It's just so like every part of my life, there's been songs that have kind of connected with either trips, emotions, years, all sorts of things. But but I'm a big fan of my real interest is in music that's the background for movies.
I like the soundtracks. Yeah, that's interesting because I had a couple of guests on that actually said their favorite songs are actually picked from a soundtrack of a movie because of how the composer was able to bring those emotions in a piece of music.
Yes, so and I find the same thing, and I'm not even sure when that started to become a thing for me. I think it was probably after I'd done my design courses and things, and I would go to a movie and look at movies differently, and I would sit to the end and watch all the credits because it's like all these people, because most people once the movie's over they just get up and go. Nobody watches the credits, and but here I was going to enter a world where all that creative talent and what you watched has been made by somebody. And I thought, well, if I leave now, I'm kind of like being rude to all these thousands of people that are involved in this beautiful creation and have been a small part in the big picture, you know what I mean? And so then I started watching the credits right to the very end, and then there'll be a few, and as you watch those credits, they have a song that usually plays in the background, and there was one, I don't know the name of the song. I know it's in Meet Joe Black. And there's a piece in it that's an orchestral piece, and it's got a piece that has violins, and it slowly builds. And as it builds, I get goosebumps and I've listened to it hundreds and hundreds of times. Every time I get to that point, it's like goosebumps. It's this lifting, this slow building and lifting, and the sound of the violins with it. It's just, it's good. Let's just say it does it for me.
You have to find it for me, and share it, because I wouldn't mind listening to it. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So
now.
Yeah, go for it.
Before we wrap up, because I love that chat. We've touched on so many points, and I always say, and I know I've said it in so many episodes before, but for me personally, music is the red line that just goes through our life, and it connects us and everyone else. You can tell me what you want, but that's what I feel and that's what I believe. So, Bas, the last question I generally ask a guest is, if you would have to describe your business or your life by using one song, which one would you pick?
Oh, Lord.
And why? It could even be a soundtrack. Like some people go, oh, it's,
Yeah, that's hard. That's a really hard one to answer for me.
Sorry.
I don't know if there's been one, B. Just mainly because I suppose my relationship with music has changed in the last few years, and I got to a point where my life fell apart completely, and I had no love for anything creative, not even music. I couldn't listen to music. Every song on the radio reminded me of something that I didn't want to remember. And so I had a real disconnect with music and being creative for probably about 18 months. And then since I've come back to it, the kind of music I listen to now, I don't know if was there a song that brought me back?
Or maybe a genre of music that you sort of really love at the moment, that sort of gives you something that you need right now, that helps you?
That's it's a really tough question for me to answer. And
well, I'm just wondering, I know you mentioned when we were chatting before, you mentioned something that you're actually writing your own song.
Yeah.
So maybe
and I think maybe that's at the moment. I mean, that's the piece I'm working on at the moment.
Because I know you said it's for someone special in your life, and
yeah. So for me, that's what I mean when you ask me that question. It's hard for me to answer because I'm not thinking about answering it as somebody else's song being the thing that I feel connected to. At the moment, I'm feeling more connected to improvising and making my own music. So for me, it's a song that I've written about my dad called Midnight, and which my dad's passed away. He passed away a few years ago, and him and I were very close. So yeah, as part of my, I'm still learning to play piano. Look, I'm definitely no expert at it, far from it. Yet I love it. And it just allows me to express emotions that I'm feeling that don't have words, and I can't say them to my father because he's no longer here. But for me, when I play that song, it reconnects me with him, and I think of him, in that moment. So, when you ask me that question, it'd have to be my song called Midnight, dedicated to my father.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
beautiful.
That's
the perfect answer for me. Absolutely perfect.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, Michelle, I really enjoyed our chat. It was so nice flowing, a bit like music, maybe on a piano. And I appreciate you coming on and sharing, your thoughts and feelings around music and everything. It's always so interesting to hear and chat to other people, how they see the world through music's eyes, I suppose.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate it. And thank you for introducing Lucy as well.
Yeah, the hooligan. Here we go, hooligan. Hey.
And for those of you who are listening to this podcast, beautiful, adorable little dog who kind of goes with music. I think two things in life that are almost essential, I think. Music and nature, including animals.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, well, we're going to wrap it up for today's episode. Thanks so much for being here, Michelle. As I said, truly appreciate you coming on and sharing your thoughts and feelings on all things music. I hope you enjoyed it too.
Thank you for asking me. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I'm sure we could probably talk for another hour on this, but
I know.
So yeah, it's a topic that's close to my heart. So
yeah, and mine too.
Thank you.
Thank you. And to all you listeners and watchers as well on YouTube, thanks for tuning in. As usual, if you have any questions or suggestions, please get in touch. Otherwise, thank you for being here beside us. I truly appreciate you, and I shall hear and talk and see you on the next episode of my podcast very soon. In the meantime, keep on dancing, keep on rocking, and keep that music playing, and take care of yourselves too. Until then, bye.